Hello, welcome to the latest episode of Comics Unmasked. Just me and Connor this week, as Andrew is suffering from some technical difficulties. So we thought we'd come to you with a discussion about Star Wars comics to save poor Andrew from our corporate shilling.
Look, as we record this, it is the 6th of May. So we're in a very Star Warsy mood this week.
You know, I saw someone try and do Revenge of a Sixth today. It's like, no, it's Revenge of a Fifth.
Do you know what? There was a whole I saw a whole chart of how you can spread it out for 2
Yeah.
weeks, and they
Well,
did use 6th
I saw someone
for
point
Revenge.
out that now you can just say, do the whole month and just say, this is the May.
That's good.
Yeah.
Damn it, that's good. That's really good.
But speaking of a Mandalorian, I imagine the current rumor is that the Mandalorian comic is going to be launching out of War of the Bounty Hunters,
Oh, okay.
which could be like a pre-Return of the Jedi din.
Interesting, because
Yeah.
War of the Bounty Hunters just started this week, I believe.
Yes.
I haven't read it yet.
I haven't. I'm behind on the Star Wars comics. I
I'm about 3 weeks behind.
I grabbed Unlimited with the intent to catch up in time for War of the Bounty. So I've bought the past two issues that aren't on Unlimited yet. I'm going to read through Unlimited,
Mm.
read those two issues, and then I'll be into War of the Bounty Hunter, which is a Marvel event.
Yeah, and
I saw the checklist earlier.
It's only the second event that they've done for Star Wars in the same way.
Third,
Third, that's right. You had Vader Down and
Vader
Screaming
Down,
Citadel.
Screaming Citadel, but they were small and
Vader
only
Down
1
was
month,
reasonable. I think Vader Down was over 2 months.
2 months. But this is a
Yeah.
this is an event. It runs from now till October. Every mainline book, bar the High Republic. Has High Republic turned into an ongoing?
It has, and that caught me off guard
Yeah,
because it was definitely marketed as
as
a
a six issue
mini.
mini.
Yep. Because a friend of mine asked me, he's like, "Hey, should I get the what do I do about this one?" Because he's reading all the High Republic books
Yeah.
and stuff. I was like, it's only a mini. You'll be fine. Because he had to quit the Star Wars comics called Turkey because he was just getting too many.
Yeah.
It was becoming a problem.
I would say events like this aside, I do think Marvel have been well restrained with it.
I mean, we've never had more than 4 books a month, I don't
Yeah.
think. So,
I mean,
yeah.
6 now going into War of the Bounty Hunter, but
Yeah, that's the same before now.
yeah.
And I suppose High Republic before that point. But yeah, I was like, I even double checked when he asked me. This was right after, it was after issue 1 came out, maybe like the week before 2
Yeah.
came out, and I went and checked the solicit or the text on Comixology somewhere, and it said, part 2 of 6 or whatever.
Yeah, it was
I
definitely
was
pitched
like,
as a
I was
6
like,
issue mini.
I was
'Cause I
like,
was a
oh
little
no,
disappointed.
you're great.
I was hoping we'd get an ongoing High Republic.
And
But
then all of a sudden, there was no announcement. It was just
just
they
July
just kept soliciting
and
it.
issue 7 was
Yeah, because I did notice it was May or June solicits when I was looking through those that it had stopped saying of 6,
yeah.
and I was like, huh, that's weird. And then all of a sudden, this is why.
Yeah, maybe it sold really well. Maybe Marvel
Yeah,
weren't 100% sure if he wanted to commit to an ongoing, if it wasn't going to be a popular.
which is completely fair.
Yeah.
I know a couple of them do this again, but on the Marvel Star Wars episode, I'm going to bring up DC. DC have started doing stuff really well recently by calling stuff seasons
Yeah.
and explicitly saying if
you
this sells well
yeah,
enough,
they've
we
done
will
that
do
Swamp
a
Thing,
season
right?
2. Swamp Thing, and
Tinian's House of a Lake is also being pitched in that manner.
yeah, and he confirmed in his newsletter this week that he has seasons 2 and 3 at least planned out. Should it sell well enough?
Yeah.
But season 1 still is,
Which
it's a
is
complete
how
story.
creator-owned independent books has worked
Which,
for ages, right? If something sells, we'll keep on making it.
pretty much. But given the sales figures that he put in his newsletter for Something Is Killing the Children,
Yeah.
holy shit.
Good.
So the latest issue, 16 or 17? I don't know which. So obviously,
I've read
okay,
the first arc. The first arc was very good.
any creator-owned book, as a rule, barring like a couple of exceptions, is significantly lower than any Marvel or DC book.
Yeah.
any book that's in the mid-teens is not usually a hot seller. You got your core dedicated audience,
Yeah.
right? And it'll be pretty consistent by that point. And again, for anyone who doesn't know, direct market sales, anything over 100,000 is pretty huge.
Yeah.
Like an issue of Batman, 110, 120,000 is a solid good issue, and that's in the top 10 of most months
Yeah.
usually. According to again Tynan's newsletter, his figures that he's saying this is what he has been told as the numbers, 155k.
For something that's killing the children.
Issue 16, yeah, or 17, whichever one it was.
For issue 17 of an ongoing series that isn't Batman.
That is huge. I'm just going to try and find this quote. I got here it is. So I got when the number 16 sales were they were looking like a week ago, and they knocked me on my ass. And then I got the real numbers yesterday, and they double knocked me on the ass. I know this is floating in the wild, but I can confirm that we did in fact break 155k on this issue.
So that is nuts.
That is insane.
Tiny's gonna do it, isn't he? He's gonna all his dreams of what he wants to craft the comic industry into.
With sales like that at issue 16 of a creator-owned comic, he will be doing whatever he wants within 5 years.
That is.
Yeah.
You've heard the news here first, folks. Comics aren't dead.
Who'd have thunk?
Like
if you'd asked me to guess numbers on, hey, no, if someone told me, oh, this sold pretty well, I'd have said 60, 70 would be a good, like that would have been really good still. But double that.
Yeah, it's a series I've got to catch up on because I've read the first arc and it was very, very good.
I haven't. I have got the deluxe hardcover pre-ordered that's coming out in like November, which I believe is the first.
It'll be interesting to see what the numbers are in his image book as well, Department of Truth.
Yeah. But man, that's like those numbers are insane, and like I don't blame him for it's a bit of a brag putting that up, and I don't. Actually, there's something about Department of Truth here. Okay, it's going upwards in the numbers there. He hasn't given me exact figures, but he said between issues 8 and 9, it's gone up almost 14,000.
Books don't go upwards.
No, they don't. I don't know what he's doing.
Books trend down.
And that's not like
unless it's Batman.
A book's trending down is not a bad thing. That is the natural course of people. Some people lose interest, some people drop off. You know.
I mean, to be fair, with the way Image publishes, a book trending upwards between arcs makes a bit of sense in how they release trades. Like a bunch of people could have read that first trade and been like, you know what, I'm in.
Yeah, but between 8 and 9 is not an arc.
Yeah,
that's mid arc, right?
No, so first trade is 1 through 7. Let me just check my Comixology account.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can find it on Amazon real quick and see if the description tells me. 1 through 5 is the first volume. So this is in the middle of the second arc.
Because it had 2 standalone issues recently. You know,
right.
like
okay.
you know, like Image style of guest artist.
Yeah, I mean, by those, okay, it may not be technically the second arc.
Okay, so issue 8's just come out.
You sure? Issue 9 not out?
Issue 9's not out yet. He could be going on pre-order numbers.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah, issue 1 through 5 was the first arc. 6 and 7 were standalone issues with guest artists.
So 8's the start of a new arc.
8 is the first issue of a new arc.
But even that doesn't explain like your argument of, okay, so the Image model, people would buy a trade and then they jump on. They would jump on presumably at 6.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because they had up to 5 in the trade, right?
Yeah, what is... this is good news for comics in general. Because this is... I mean, not talking about superhero books either. So books like this being healthy are great.
Yeah.
Before we get onto, Star Wars again, because we've gone well off a beaten path here.
I'm sorry, you just kind of... Something sparked in my head, and it was so insane, I just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, you're right. I find that fascinating. I did read The Good Asian just before we started recording.
I bought it just because you were going on about it.
It's so good.
I went into my shop and like just today I was in the shop and I didn't have it on my order. I was like, oh, there's a copy on the shelf. And James, you were talking about it yesterday. I was like, oh, go on. And the faith I have in your taste, I picked it up and I said to the guy at the store, I was like, stick this on my list for me.
Nice to hear.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
it's
I'm billing you if I hate it. Is what I'm saying.
it's 30s noir.
Yeah, I should enjoy it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's definitely going full in to America, racism, that kind of tone. It's going to. I don't think it's going to be a book I would describe as a fun or easy read.
No, but it'll be good.
Yes, it'll be an important read, I think, and interesting. And if you like crime books, it's gonna be up your street.
Yeah.
It's about a cop from Hawaii, a detective from Hawaii, who's come over to help solve a crime in San Francisco. And it's set obviously during the height of, it's set in the 30s, where, as the writer says, this would be the first generation of Americans to come of age under an immigration ban.
Yes.
With the Chinese Exclusionary Act. And that's the frame, that's what it's all dealing with. And
I'm really interested in diving into. I've got
I just saw all
I've
the
got a bunch of
various
DC
creators
comics I still need to read tonight. Once we're done here, before I start my next big recording.
Yeah, the solicit piqued my interest in it. And then I saw a bunch of creators I imagine we both follow on Twitter just going crazy for the book. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think I saw a few things here or there. And then you were like, oh, really excited when you picked it up.
Some other news again before we will have this as a little bit of a news section before we talk more about Star Wars. The comic company TKO has just announced that it's putting out one of our favourite fantasy comics of recent years.
Yes.
And expanding on it.
Yeah, Scales and Scoundrels.
A short-lived book at Image because unfortunately it didn't sell the numbers of...
Something is killing the children, clearly. Yeah. A few things do, but, I don't blame Image. This is the model of creator-owned comics, as we're saying. Like, if you sell well, you're going to have more. If not, sorry, it's costing us too much. That's the life.
Yeah. And it got 2 arcs, I think.
2 trades, yeah.
And then it had like an issue or 2 released, but it just...
Yeah, they were like standalone issues after that.
So we're getting 2 big, hefty paperbacks. One collecting the first 2 trades that have been reworked.
Yes, they keep saying, I haven't seen examples to compare to.
But I think the artist has gone and just, from the sound of it, he's gone and touched up his art a bit to his to like how he would like it to be.
It says he's redone some of the art. I don't know what exactly he's done. Redrawn bits here or there. Yeah.
And I guess if he's now the CEO of
editor-in-chief.
Editor-in-chief of TKO, he's got the money to go, yeah, I'm going to redo my own.
Yeah. So the writer, whose name I'm forgetting, is now the editor-in-chief of TKO, which explains a lot of this.
Yeah. And then we're getting a second trade that's going to be the 2 issues that weren't collected, and then 2 new arcs. Yeah,
which is great. I'm very confused because Amazon has also hardcovers listed.
But they've not announced those.
What's really interesting is that they have the hardcovers.
Because I do know sometimes library bindings and things get accidentally listed on Amazon.
Well, what's really interesting to me is they do have different release dates. So
they do, yeah.
The hardcover dates are June, which is the TKO official release date. And the paperback release dates are July, which are the bookstore release dates.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what's going on there. I'll be honest, I've pre-ordered both, and if they show up on their hardcovers, great.
Maybe something a bit like what Tinian just did with Wind and released a comic store only live hardcover.
Yeah, I'm good. I missed that.
It's still available on Forbidden Planet and things.
Oh, is it?
I've nearly ordered it a couple of times, but I haven't.
I didn't see it in my stores. I'll have to have a look.
I haven't ordered the new Reckless yet either.
Oh, I got that
Which
the
I
other
imagine
day.
I'm now going to be waiting on ordering the new Reckless because it's at stock everywhere. But
my store still has some copies with
yeah,
book plates if you're willing to pay full retail. Yeah, I know. Um, but I'm looking forward to getting into that.
I
That's one of
just
those
read
books
the
that I
first
want to
one.
sit and read in one sitting,
Yeah,
and I haven't had the time. I mean, I haven't had a day off since it arrived,
yeah.
basically.
I read the first one last week because I hadn't read it yet.
Oh, yeah,
I dug it out, I read it, and it's good.
it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually bring us back onto Star Wars. I think when I finish the Murder Book novella I'm reading at the moment, I'm gonna move on to going back to the High Republic book and reading it.
Oh, that's nice. I got a new Star Wars thing today, or it arrived today, I should say. And oh, something's just fallen off there. It is this.
Oh, is that? Oh, is it the Insider stuff?
Yes, this is the first volume of the Insider
All
stuff.
canon?
No, this ones are all legend
Legends.
stories.
Because I
But
know
it
they've
says
just
that on the
started
front.
putting canon fiction in again, haven't they?
They have only in the last couple of months, so not enough to collect yet. I suspect.
I asked the Fed this
Um,
question earlier, actually. The rumour is they're remaking Knights of the Old Republic.
What? Oh, the game.
Yeah. Would you prefer a straight remake or bring it into canon? Like tweak it, alter it where you need to, and remake Knights of the Old Republic as a canon game. So keep it as Legends and just remake it as it was, or
I'm gonna say the second one,
so am
mainly
I.
because I think the mechanics of that game actually hold up really well, and it doesn't need a remake, a remaster, sure,
Yeah.
but it doesn't need a remake in the sense that all of the mechanics have aged shockingly well because of what they are.
Yeah, it's a good game. It still works as a good game.
You
In
can
the same
still
way that you
play
can
it
go back and play
now.
Baldur's Gate now quite happily, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, assuming you're into those type of games,
Yeah.
of course, is the caveat. But they don't feel old beyond the graphics. So,
yeah,
no, I'd take canonize it, do a whole new take on
yeah,
the.
that's what I would do. But yeah, so Star Wars comics, specifically the Marvel Disney era, and I guess technically slightly the IDW era.
I
of
have not
Marvel comics.
touched any of the IDW stuff because it
I've
is
read the
a
odd,
pain in the ass to get a hold of over here.
yes, because of various licensing issues around kids' Disney books. You can get the
Yes,
trades easily enough over here, but you can't read it monthly over here. Not easily.
isn't it fun when
Like,
copyright law gets in the way?
I am subscribed to the High Republic IDW book through Forbidden Planet, and you kind of get an issue at random points. It doesn't seem to come out on any kind of actual
Just every so
schedule.
often, we'll
Yeah,
just throw one with your order.
yeah. But the two things that I've said it before, I've said it to you many a time, but I've never said it on a stream before. I think one of the greatest things to come from the Disney canon, or we should just, for now on, we will call it the canon because it is.
It is
one-
what canon is.
yeah,
Love it or hate it.
that the current canon is the canon.
There are definitely things I don't like in it,
Anakin
but
and Vader
it is what it is.
are the same person. In a way that they always felt like a disconnect there in the old.
Yes,
Canon.
there felt like a clear split. Like
Yes,
there was
while-
like it was a different person.
When you read about Vader now, when you read in Vader comics, and there's been two very good Vader series for Marvel, and I can't comment on the current one, but I
Very
hear it's
good.
good as well.
It's very good.
I did read the Padme arc, or at least the
That was
start
good
of the
stuff.
Padme arc. At no point do you think that's anyone other than Anakin Skywalker in there.
Yeah, and this isn't just in the Marvel stuff. This is an exclusive to that, is what I mean
Yeah,
by
this
that.
is the canon in
All
general.
of Disney canon.
I remember
like, since
reading the
they've been doing
Tarkin book
stuff.
when it first came out.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where, and this is set early enough in canon where, just forewarning, we might get in the reads here with our love of Star Wars because I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
This is back when Vader is still flying his ETA. isn't it, in that
Yes.
Tarkin era? And Tarkin's watching him fly out there, and Tarkin knows, I know who that is. Who else flies like that? Like,
There's a similar thing in the first of the Thrawn novels.
yeah,
Um, because I mean, so you've got the original Thrawn trilogy, um, in Legends
yeah. They
now.
reintroduced Thrawn at a much earlier point, didn't they, in the new canon?
They did, yes. And so it's still written by Timothy Zahn. So feels very natural. So this current Thrawn, this first trilogy, the first book, is set, I want to say, a little bit before Rebels,
Yeah,
but it's actually got two time periods. It's got then, and it's got, I don't know, 10 or 15 years earlier, where he ran into Anakin on a mission in the Clone Wars. I think Anakin was off trying to save Padme or something, and he teamed up with Thrawn in that. And you have, over the course of this book, Thrawn kind of putting it together that is like, you're very suspiciously like that Anakin guy I met before.
yeah.
Because Thrawn's a very smart man.
And that's the thing, like, because Vader is Anakin Skywalker. He didn't stop. As much as Obi might wish his truth was the truth,
Yeah,
it's
he
not.
he still has
Yeah,
personality core, and the traits of that man are still in there.
it's all his anger without any of his.
Redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get in the true tragedy of Anakin Skywalker, I think, exists in the Disney canon in a way that it didn't necessarily before.
There's a lot of stuff like this. Is quite why I love a lot of the expanded material in the way it enhances
Yeah,
the core
I mean,
movies for
the
me.
more-
And then like all this stuff makes Luke saving Vader more believable.
Yeah.
More true. It's like, no, of
you
course
feel
he was in there the
is
whole time.
an Anakin to come back. Like,
Yeah, it's the same with how, if you watch the Clone Wars TV show, it makes Revenge of the Sith about 1,000,000 times better. Because no, I know it's still not a good
I did
movie.
it. I recently started I'm watching I'm doing it very slowly. Like, I've paused halfway through Rebels and I'm doing other stuff for a bit. But I've been watching Star Wars in canon order.
Yeah.
So I did Phantom, Attack, all of Clone Wars,
Nice.
and then into
Yeah,
Revenge.
I think it makes Revenge better in that I believe, that there's the moment where, everyone says, "You were my brother, Anakin." That,
Oh yeah,
I believe now.
It makes it better as a general picture, as in when you're thinking about Star Wars.
Yeah,
It comes as a slight whiplash watching it
immediately after.
Yeah, and I did it, and I managed to time it in with the new Clone Wars, the final season. So I watched up to Obi-Wan and Anakin leaving.
So you watch like those first two arcs and a bit.
Yeah, I watched up to Obi-Wan and Anakin basically leaving Ahsoka. Went and watched Revenge of the Sith, and then came back to experience Ahsoka's
Oh, nice.
section of it. And the whiplash of going through voice actors who are very much enjoying what they're doing to actors who don't want to be there anymore is
Look, I'm not saying it makes the quality of things better. I think it makes it more believable again.
yeah. I think no, Attack of the Clones is probably my second least favorite Star Wars movie. Revenge of the Sith is better than Attack of the Clones.
Oh God, yeah, it is. I was going to say, I
Attack
that
is
is
the
an
worst.
argument.
Attack is the worst Star Wars movie.
It
but
has
it's
one
only by
redeeming quality.
Sand.
In that... No, it has one of my favorite sound effects in all of cinema.
Yeah,
history. The
Slave
thermal
One
implosion
bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Thing is, there's so much I could love about that film. Like, so many times it threatens to be this really interesting detective Jedi film, and it just
Yeah.
never gets there. And I
There's-
love the episodes of Clone Wars that do go there.
You
and
feel like there's
oh,
an edit somewhere that
yeah.
you could make out of Attack of the Clones into a good movie.
But we're not here to talk negatively about Star Wars. We're here to talk about why we love Star Wars.
That's why we
patented
read all
Alden
of the
Diaz
goddamn
way
comics.
of discussing Star Wars.
Yes. Note how we avoid talking about some of the things that we really dislike.
Oh yeah.
We've just brushed over them. We don't need to talk about them tonight.
But yeah, the Marvel comic series, they've got great minis as well. But the main Star Wars series. So for the first wave, Star Wars, Vader 2, and Aphra.
Yes.
It's an absolute masterclass in fitting between something.
Yeah, I think there's a point towards the end where they're like, you're kind of just starting to get a little bit too long now. And then,
But I
right
think
as you're
they know,
thinking that,
and that's why they go to half. It's
yeah,
like,
right as they're like, okay, we're moving on. And they do an arc on, all right, let's get Hoth set up
yeah.
before we jump ahead.
And there is some amazing stuff in that main Star Wars series. We've mentioned
Yeah.
before we have issues with some of the art, but both Vader runs are great. I prefer Gillen's over Sowell's, but both are very good.
Yeah, it's more of a taste thing.
But then Gillen's also introduces one of my favourite Star Wars
Afra,
characters, who I absolutely adore. She is an absolute mess, just travelling around the galaxy.
Did you ever check out the Afra audio drama?
I haven't yet, no.
I've
got
it's
it, I own
technically
it.
just an adaptation of that kind of
It's a
first
novel
arc.
now as well, isn't it?
I think it's just a script.
Oh, just script.
It's just a straight script.
Yeah.
Because they did one of those for, oh god, what was the other audio one they did a couple of years ago? I completely blank on the name of it.
The Clone Wars.
Yeah, the Ventress one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it anyway. But that Afra audio drama is essentially a retelling of that first arc, but it's all from her point of view.
Yeah.
And like, her like, okay, extra thoughts and like some extra relationship stuff there. It drags in some stuff from later, like her relationship with Sana.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, it's really good.
Absolutely adore how, for as much of an absolute mess of a person Afra is, and she's not a good person,
No.
that she manages to take a staunch Imperial and morph him into a rebel.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Without really trying, because it's not her aim.
I reread because I've decided to catch up, and I thought, you know what, I'll start with Empire Ascendant. And there's a couple of nice little shorts in that to set for 4 ongoing books going forward. There's a wonderful one with Poe's parents, where the ice caves in and they get trapped, and his mum Shayra is all like, oh, we're gonna be saved, and his dad's like, no, why would they come and save us? It's not strategically, like, they'd have to cut through the base that they've just spent all this time digging out. And then 5 minutes later Luke's sort of
yeah
and he's like, why'd you do it? And Leia's all, we're rebels, it's what we do. Like, it's a nice, it's cheesy, but it's nice.
It is, yeah.
And then you have an Afro moment where the people she's touched throughout, her dad, the kids she kind of adopted, and is it Magnus Tolv?
Tolv is definitely right.
Yeah. All basically listening to her last will and testament.
Yeah.
Effectively.
No murder bots.
Pardon?
Not the murder bots.
Yeah, not the
they didn't
murder
get
bots.
anything.
No. Great characters, though.
Yes, 000 and BT.
They will always exist as something so distinctly Kieran Gillian in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, they are basically. For anyone who doesn't know, he comes from a games journalism background.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he was a fan of Knights of the Old Republic and really enjoyed HK-47. I was like, I want to do my take on that.
Yeah. They are great.
They are.
And I love
very,
how they
very
basically,
wonderful.
when they get the freedom, they basically just become like really evil mobsters. Like, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But that and I guess there's tons of spoilers here for the Star Wars comics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll spoil the recent ones too much.
No.
And probably not too many details, but I mean, there are some like really great moments that have been. I love how widely used they are on the internet. From Vader down, all I see around me are dead men, or something to that effect.
Good. That is a good moment.
Such a great moment, and it's become a quintessential Vader moment with how much it's been used online. And that surprises me, in a good way.
Yeah, as in the end of this point, like they're reminiscing about Afra, and Luke rocks up and he's like, "Oh, you were friends with Afra, right?" and he says something that she managed to hide the Hoth from the rebels for a bit longer, and he's like, I knew she was a good person, really, and wanders off, and we have that moment of like, should we tell him she also saved the Emperor's life? Like,
Yeah, no, Afra is probably the best thing to come out of all these comics.
yeah, she plays that wonderful balance of, because I say she's not a good person, but I kind of agree with Luke. I think
It's
there's a part
the
of her that,
heart of gold thing,
yeah, like,
but it is buried deeper than typical.
she's what Afra is what most people think Han Solo is,
Yeah,
and Han Solo is not at all.
she is basically, the idea of Han Solo transplanted onto Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
and she's
because
wonderful.
I think Solo was a final piece of canon that 100% confirmed it. Han Solo is not in any way, shape, or form as any bad kind of bone in his body.
No,
Like,
he pretends he does. It's an act.
yeah, it's a defense mechanism to stop being hurt.
Yeah.
Like, if he doesn't trust anyone, if he doesn't get to know anyone, no one can betray him. It's the aftermath of Kira. Or Kira, how do you pronounce?
Hero. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, she betrayed him, and he doesn't want it to happen again, so he puts on this persona of being an uncaring.
Yeah.
And all he's doing is waiting. Like, I've always pictured, like, every time he's there, like, I'm gonna leave, no one can stop me, and Chewie's like, at him. What Chewie's basically saying is like, I know you're not going to, you know you're not going to, so why are we doing this song and dance again?
It is, even like going back to his first appearance in the movie, is he, when they're like, oh, you'll take us to all around, right? What they offer him, they're like, oh, we can give you this much up front. It's like, he's like, oh, I'll go on then.
Yeah, he's fundamentally a good man.
Yeah.
And he just kind of buries it in this kind of brusque.
And I think that has come across in most of the comics.
Yeah.
I think to be fair, I think most of the comics have had really solid interpretations on all of the characters.
They
There
have.
are none.
I think we truly get to see General Leia.
Yeah.
Like, we get why Leia is so important to the rebellion. Why she
As
is.
like as a strategist as opposed to just
Yeah.
a figurehead.
Like, she's good at what she does.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really interesting. We're talking about, oh, this is canon now. There is actually, as of this past week, one example of one comic that is no longer strictly canon.
Yeah, it's not a big enough rewrite that it bothers me.
No, it doesn't bother me. It's more if you always take all of Star Wars as this is the story being told from someone's perspective.
Yeah.
You can always kind of there's enough wiggle room in any story.
I think that's a lot of people's issue with it. So I went back and looked at that issue to see how big of a change it was.
Yeah.
And I think I saw someone's comment, and I think the issue is they feel a little betrayed. Like, they told the comics are canon, and now they feel like, well, if this one didn't matter, why do any of them matter? And I think that's a weird attitude to have. Everything's canon until it's not canon anymore.
Pretty much.
And I think maybe it's someone who's only reading Star Wars comics. I generally think, being a big fan of especially DC comics, it prepares you for things not being canon anymore and you just going with it, right?
Yeah, it's very true.
And so what happened in the comic was, it was after they'd won the planet, basically,
Yes.
and they were resting at night. They were being jovial with the clones, having some laughs and jokes, and Order 66 hits.
Yeah.
And obviously the Bad Batch are not there because the Bad Batch weren't a thing.
Right. I think we're dancing around the character and which comic this was in, just for the sake of spoilers. I think we'll keep that free for now.
Yeah.
But I think it's. I don't think it. Again, if you take it as the impression of in the comic, that
To be
story
fair,
is
we're
being
saying
told.
we're dancing around spoilers. By the time this episode airs, that episode will have aired weeks ago.
It will. I'm just being considerate of anyone who might be waiting to binge Bad Batch.
Okay.
16
episodes, so they're going to be waiting a while.
They will. Poor bastards.
It's good. If you're wondering, just go and watch it. It's good.
It is
Well,
good.
the first
Yeah.
episode is. Who knows about the rest yet?
I mean,
but
Alden tells us
episode
episode 2
tomorrow.
is good as well.
Pardon?
Alden says episode 2 is good as well.
Yeah, and
so
we get it tomorrow.
yeah, looking forward to it.
Marvel's moving to Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a moment because that's actually a fun shift. But with this particular character, if you take the comic version of events as they were being told by this character and his, look back at the memory years later, because that story does span quite a few years.
Yes.
If you think of it, okay, this is his perspective at the end, and his memories have shifted a little bit.
Yeah.
That's how he remembered it, and then now this is how maybe other people saw it. This is maybe what actually happened.
Yeah, and both work. And to be fair, even if you view it as a straight up change and you don't want to put, you think saying things like that is a way to fix it in your head, right? That canon is irreversibly changed by this. If you take that hard line fact that, oh no, you can't justify it in that way, canon is changed by this, it's still such a small moment that it doesn't matter. It doesn't in any way, shape or form change that character's beats.
It doesn't, because that character still has the bonding moment with clones.
Yeah.
And then the betrayal, which is the important part of that story.
Yeah.
Of those scenes. That is the key part there, is the bonding immediately followed by betrayal.
And even that 12
is
issue
still here
comic
right now.
Issue 1 and maybe a bit of issue 2 aside still happens pretty much exactly as it happens.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not a big deal.
Doesn't matter.
No.
Just go and enjoy the comics. If they change later, they change. But for now, enjoy the good stories. It's like people who get upset about Legends not being canon. So go. You can still enjoy those stories.
Yeah,
they're still there. They're not even like out of print. They're still actively printing them.
I never got big enough into like. There's parts of Legends I like. Like I love the Rogue Squadron comics. I love the Crimson Empire comics.
I have read very few of the Legends comics because it always seems so daunting to get into.
Never really got into the novels.
I'm the complete opposite, where I've always dabbled. Over the past 5 or 6 years, I have been working on a mission to read every single Star Wars novel chronologically. And I am up to, I don't know, 5 or 10 years post Empire at the minute.
Yeah.
I'm in that New Republic era, like firmly in that period. Some of the books are good, some of them are not. But
I recently
think
picked
people will
up
have
a Marvel digital reprint of one of the Dark Horse omnibuses that contains all 3 or 4 Alan Moore Star Wars stories, because I thought, you know what, they could be fun to read.
They were pretty much all on sale this past week.
Yeah, they were. That's why it was 79p, so I was like, yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Because he wrote a few stories for Star Wars UK.
Yeah, there was also, like, again, the Knights of the Old Republic comic.
Yeah.
There's 3 volumes of that. It was like 50 odd
issues
plus
to do with
a
the
mini.
Knights of the Old Republic game. Just set in the same time.
No, it's just set in the time period.
Yeah.
But it is by John Jackson Miller, who has written a lot of Star Wars books as well. Very good. And the whole thing was available for, I think it was about £4. It was about $6. I think it was.
I read it when it was coming out partly. I remember it being good stuff. I didn't read it all, but I read a chunk of it.
I think it was probably around May 4th last year.
Part of it was a crossover, actually.
It was, yes.
All the Star Wars books had this weird timey-wimey crossover.
Yeah, that was a bit weird. But I think it was last May 4th where I read all 3 of those volumes. So it was like 55, 60, 56 issues in the space of like 2 days. And very good. Very good story.
Yeah.
If, next time things are on sale, if worth checking out.
So do you have a favourite Star Wars Marvel moment?
Moment? Oh, that's tough. I don't know if I do have a favourite moment. I mean...
or a favourite arc. Let's say favourite arc. I do, but I can narrow that arc into a moment.
Go on. You do yours and see if it triggers anything for me, well, I think.
The Mining Planet. And the Partisans.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that is very good.
It's the remnants of Saw's Partisans coming up with the the noble side of Luke, Leia, and Han,
Yeah.
and their idea of rebellion, but also the fact that Leia has got a bit of a thirst for vengeance on her mind right now,
Yeah. There's
and
a lot
watching
of
them get perilously close to blowing up a planet in the same way that, and the partisans just wanting to do it, and Luke being like, "No, we can't," but there's some great conversation between two tubes. It's Bethnick, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because there's obviously his brother, but I can't remember his brother's name. But the two tubes.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars names, man.
Yeah, you just describe them. Yeah. Short pig guys. Okay, cool. Ugnaughts. Got it.
Yeah. I remember the opening, because the reason I know their names, I don't think I learned their names in Rogue One.
No, I don't think I did.
No, but I opened my U-Wing for the X-Wing miniatures game, and obviously you have pilot cards,
Sure.
and it's like, oh yeah, Bethnick Two Tubes, I remember. It feels like a workplace nickname. Like, oh yeah, good old Two Tubes over there. Yeah, he'll fly you to where you need to go.
It really is.
Yeah, he has an argument with Luke about
Doing what needs to be done.
yeah, and it's that's the other thing I find strangely fascinating about Disney Star Wars for a Disney product. It's weird. But not. It's like it's really willing to go into like war. The notion of war is messy.
Yes.
Like, yes, predominantly we know the Empire is evil.
But not all of them are terrible people.
Yeah, and we know it was right there in Lost Stars, one of the first books to come out, right?
Yeah, which was Claudia Gray,
Yeah.
it's basically Romeo and Juliet, but in
Which,
Star Wars.
as funny as like that Clerks moment is, where they're talking about like, oh yeah, there was people just building the Death Star, right? It's not wrong,
It's not.
and it's like the stuff Cassian says in Rogue One as well. Rogue One is a film that really goes into this, and then this is a spirit. This Kieran Gillen's run on Star Wars is almost a spiritual sequel to Rogue One.
Oh, parts of it definitely are.
Yeah.
The first arc of that is on Jeddah.
Yeah, and then the second arc is still dealing with the partisans
Yeah.
and there is a lot of like, oh, not all rebels are good either. Like Cassian hints that he's done some terrible
Which I'm
things.
sure we'll see more about in his
then-
TV show, which when we
Isn't the
eventually get
implication
that.
that Cassian was a separatist?
It may have been his background, yeah.
Yeah, like he says how he's been rebelling against things since he was like 6 or something like that.
He's
which
not quite old enough. Yeah.
is he not?
I mean, he's not quite old enough for it to only have been the rebellion, right?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, he's not quite old enough for it to only have been. He would have had to have, and if he's been rebelling, that would imply he was a separatist and not a republic.
Yeah. One would assume.
Yeah.
Again,
And
sure, we'll get more of this in
that's
his TV show.
why I'm very interested in the period Bad Batch is set in. That literally post. We've got plenty of pre New Hope stuff, but that very much. Oh no, the
Right
Empire
in the
has
dark
just been
times.
born today.
Yeah.
What happens? Like, it surprised me at how quick Tarkin was like, "Yeah, we're done with clones."
It's surprising, but also, again, like, Tarkin would probably make that call.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, so the last
does.
batch of clones out were the last batch of clones. They didn't keep. We now know they didn't keep production
Yes.
going. Like, the clones didn't survive the Clone War. Arguably, like, they stayed in the forces.
They weren't topped up after that.
Yeah, it was quite fascinating to see how their temperament has very much changed with the kind of chip as well.
Yeah, again, all logically makes sense, and we'll avoid
Yes,
too
two
much. But
spoilers.
let's say it's nothing we've not seen before, but it's more just seeing it in a little bit more detail.
But yeah, it's a time period that I'm quite interested to see how the Republic becomes the Empire. It's one thing that was interesting watching, like getting the Clone Wars Tarkin is interesting, but he's still very much Tarkin, right? But then you've got Wolf Yularen, right?
Yeah,
Anakin's admiral throughout the war hero, like you throughout the Clone
seemed like a
Wars,
really good guy, and then you
yeah,
realize, oh no, he is an ISB agent.
the head of the
Yeah,
ISB. And I think I remember seeing him in. He's in the thingy book, isn't he? The Thrawn.
I think so. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and I think he's positioned as maybe he's a more agreeable Imperial.
But he's still undeniably a supporter of the regime.
Yeah, because you have like I
Yeah,
guess career military, right? To a lot of those people, what was the difference?
exactly.
He kept, and I guess he's doing the because it's the Emperor doesn't disband the Senate till the start of New Hope.
Yeah, no, right before that movie.
Yeah, so for the majority of people in this galaxy, what was the difference? If you were living in centralized worlds where you didn't feel the boot of the
Yeah,
regime
the
on your
name
neck,
changed.
yeah,
That's about it for the most part.
you live on the upper regions of Coruscant. Your day to day life probably didn't change at all.
Very, very likely that it didn't.
Like I remember reading Ryan John. It was last year. Someone asked the question of say something good about the prequels,
Yeah.
and I saved a picture on my phone.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. But
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
Ryan Johnson replied to it.
of course he did because he
Lucas
cares.
made a gorgeous 7 hour long movie for children about how entitlement and fear of loss turns good people into fascists, and did it while spearheading nearly every technical sea change in modern filmmaking of the past 30 years. And it's not wrong. As a sentiment
No.
about those films, that is accurate.
Yeah, execution
Yeah,
leaves room to be admired.
yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah,
And it does need the Clone Wars, I think, to work to see the true depth of Anakin as to see Anakin the hero. So I don't think you get Anakin the hero in the films. You get Anakin the kid, whatever Attack of the
whiny
Clones is.
teenager.
Yeah, Anakin the hater of sand,
Yeah,
and then you get Anakin the villain.
pretty much. It's missing something in the middle.
Seeing him train Ahsoka, seeing him.
I have long said, while I think Phantom Menace is a better movie than Clones, it is the least relevant. In that you could have started that trilogy at Attack of the Clones, done a second one, and then had Sith as the third,
Yeah,
and it would be a more well-rounded trilogy for
yeah.
what that
Although
story should be.
I do think out of the three films, as a film, Phantom Menace is probably the best. Structurally, in a lot of ways.
Possibly,
I
yeah.
know a lot of people won't agree with that because people like to
I would
really.
definitely say I prefer Sith, but I mean,
Phantom is fun and well acted in a way that Sith unfortunately isn't at times. And Sith shouldn't be fun.
Sith has
Don't
the
get me
best
wrong. I
moment
don't
of
think Sith
direction
should
in
be
the
a
trilogy.
fun film.
It has the one single moment of direction that I think Lucas excelled in that
Thing is,
trilogy
I think
is
he.
Padme and Anakin staring out the windows at
Yeah,
each other. I think that is wonderfully done.
I think he wanted to make a fun kids movie with Phantom, and I think he succeeded at making a fun kids movie with Phantom.
Mm.
And I think Phantom might be the only one that succeeds at being what it's meant to be.
No, that's true. And
But what was I going to say? And this is turning more into a discussion of Star Wars and comics, but I'm okay with that. Maybe I'll put it up as a Comics Unmasked Star Wars special. But I was thinking again as I've been watching through Clone Wars and Rebels. The fall of the Empire, I think, is preset by Anakin during the Clone Wars.
Defend.
It's Anakin's very attitude to everything that inspires his clones to be way more rebellious, like way to question things more. It
More
allows,
individualist.
yeah, which allows Rex to come back. It's his training of Ahsoka that allows Ahsoka to go on and become Fulcrum. It is in Ahsoka and Phoenix Squadron, not necessarily Leia and Luke and all them, that the rebellion is born. It's in the Rebels where the rebellion becomes a genuine formative threat to the Empire, and it's only through Anakin's teachings to Ahsoka, and Anakin fostering such a relationship with his clones beyond what most Jedi did, that allows that rebellion to succeed and birth a larger rebellion.
I don't think you're wrong. Anakin was a terrible Jedi by the restraints of the Jedi Order. But
the Jedi are terrible anyway, so it's
they are. I don't want to say they're the villains, because I think that's a bad, easy take to make.
They're not the villains, but they are
Implicit.
Yeah, and I kind of think beyond saving by the time the Clone Wars is happening.
Yes. And I think in a lot of ways, Anakin's kind of defiance of the rules, while he expresses it very badly and handles it very badly, his attitude is not actually that wrong.
I also take the stance that Ahsoka is the greatest Jedi to come out of the Order.
Yeah.
Because she took what worked that the Jedi Order taught her, what worked that people like Obi-Wan and Yoda and Plo Koon taught her, and she paired it with what Anakin taught her, and she becomes someone who's got a fierce sense of right and wrong, which is something Anakin had.
Yeah.
Anakin Skywalker knew what was right and what was wrong. He just dallied with the darkness a few too many times before he eventually kind of obviously falls. And the thing is, like, especially watching Clone Wars, you see the points of no return hit. Pairing that last season of Clone Wars with Revenge of the Sith, you see all the little moments where one different decision here. I think the ultimate point of no return is exiling Ahsoka.
Yeah, but it's this larger tapestry where it stops.
Oh yeah.
Revenge of the Sith feeling like, oh, it's these one couple of small little petty moments,
definitely.
And Palpatine just said a couple of words, and he betrayed everything he ever knew. To, no, this was a long time coming.
Yeah, and I think if Ahsoka hadn't walked away because of what the Order did to her, Palpatine could never turn an Anakin that had Ahsoka at his side. It just would have been an impossible task. But without her, and feeling isolated by the rest of the Order, he's perfectly prey.
Yeah.
To Palpatine's machinations. Like, even Mace being less of a dick, right?
might not have, led to the same stuff.
Have you ever seen the theme that puts the blame all on Kayadi Mundu?
Yes.
Like, they stretch all out. It's like, yeah, it is all Kayadi's fault.
Yeah, what a dick. Just worried too much about the Wookiees.
It's him who pushed for Ahsoka to be expelled. It's him who did the Wookiee thing and got Yoda sent away.
Mm-hmm.
He's also very passive aggressive to Anakin.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
They were too set.
Not wrong.
The Order was too set in its ways, and Yoda knew this.
Yes, absolutely.
I think even by the time Revenge is happening, Yoda knows the inevitable has unfortunately happened.
Why can't it's a weird way why he doesn't try too hard, because he's given up.
Yeah.
He's ready to go into exile.
Yeah. They failed and he knows it's their fault.
Yeah.
I think he's looked back and seen the points where he probably could have fixed things, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And it's ultimately, I think, why he tells Luke in Last Jedi to
let it all go.
Yeah, they grow beyond us.
Yeah.
And God, I love that film.
Me
I
too.
love that film so much. It's so thematically. I don't get the Luke's not a hero in that film argument. Like, I just know that obviously me and someone who hates that film have watched vastly different films.
I don't understand
Yeah.
how,
Or we have a vastly different view of
like
what Star Wars is.
there are some people who are like, oh, I don't like the pacing, I don't like this
Yeah.
side plot stuff. I can
I
understand
Why I
those
don't agree with
critiques.
them, I can get the dislike of a Canto Bite
Right, I
stuff.
like it,
I
but
do.
I can get the feel.
The thing is, I think people say like, oh, but it doesn't do anything with Finn. I think Finn is the heart of the movie. I don't think the movie works without Finn.
and people are like, oh, that it all results in nothing. I'm like, that's good. The big theme of the movie is failure.
Yeah.
It's like, of course,
Also,
it results in nothing.
pointing out, like Empire also results in a lot of nothing.
Yeah,
Like
I
Empire
know.
is loss after loss after loss,
Yeah, yeah.
and it tells and I think The Last Jedi tells this wonderful story through Finn and Rose, and it has Rey's story about trying to know where you come from. It has Kylo's wrestling with who he is, and I think Kylo is one of the few things I like about Rise.
Yeah.
But that Finn arc of, like, people complain that Rose stopped him from sacrificing himself, right? But the point
kind
of
of like
that story was that if something's worth dying for, it's most likely worth living for.
And it kind of goes back to bring this back around to comics, because I'm very good at this podcasting
Yeah.
nonsense. If you didn't know, it's very much like that Empire Ascendant story you
Yeah.
were telling about. That it's not about the logical sacrifice, points for the rebellion, because that's what they are at this point. They're a rebellion.
Yeah.
In this movie again, it's about no, the people matter beyond just the
You have
ideas
to be
and the
fighting
movement.
for something.
Yeah. Because that's why Luke went and saved them in the cave and took down the base that they just built, because they matter more than the idea.
Because if your only point is overthrowing the Empire, then
You've
ultimately
got
what's the
nothing.
point? You're not going to replace it with anything worthwhile.
Exactly.
You're just going to replace it with something that probably look. And I think that's the ultimate downfall of the First Rebellion. At least reading things like Bloodline,
Yes.
they didn't replace, and how in recent fact Luke just basically tried to start the Jedi Order again. Thing is, these things fell to the Empire for a reason.
Yes. They didn't learn. They were just like, oh, we need to get back what we lost, and didn't think, okay, but how do we improve them?
Yeah, we don't need to go back there. We need to make this better. We need to make the world a better place, not return it to the old ways. Progress, not.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think there is a lot of the stuff in the comics that is kind of working on that stuff in between the films and kind of showing the progress to that point.
It's another shift that I've noticed in Disney era, that the rebellion is now referred to quite often as the rebellion to restore the Republic.
Yes.
And I think, again, the Restoring the Republic probably not actually the greatest.
The Republic was a kind of big, massive, overblown, rotten entity that
Yeah.
was going to fall at some point.
And they built it again, and it fell again. Like, it's why Leia's exasperated with it in Bloodlines, right? Because it's become everything it effectively was before.
Yeah. Just endless arguing in the Senate.
And another
nothing
case
getting
of
done.
the same author showing us wonderful different sides to a perspective, like the other senator who's big into Empire stuff is a fascinating character.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and not a.
We've been spoiled for Star Wars media.
We have for anyone who can't look at Star Wars right now and be like, oh yeah, this is actually the people in charge right now are handling this very well.
It's why people got out of Rise of Skywalker and were like, I'm done with Star Wars now, and I get that feeling.
I did.
No, I know you did as well. That's kind of the same. Like, yeah, I get it, but then it's like, but there's all this other Star Wars that's so good.
And yeah, it took watching Mandalorian for me to be like, oh wait, no, I'm not. One bad film does not, and one bad film that's probably not going to be touched upon in a long time, does not kill the franchise for
Not
me.
even close.
And I have a feeling like when I do eventually rewatch it, I'm probably going to be kinder to it than I am these days. Because now
Maybe.
I'm remembering more of the things I did like.
Well, I was when I came out of that movie, I was very conflicted because I enjoyed large parts of the movie. It was fun to watch for
Yeah.
a lot of it. It just kind of there became a point where the things I didn't like and like moments and ideas outweighed the fun I was having. But there's no specific moment where I can pinpoint and that's
I
the point where I hate it.
I came out of the film thinking, wait, is this how people who really disliked The Last Jedi felt? like,
I came out. I remember.
but then I
oh,
didn't
like,
proceed to hurl abuse
I
at
went
people
to
who
the.
starred in it, so I'm guessing no, it's not how people who disliked The Last Jedi felt.
It was genuinely. I remember. I came out. Went to the bathroom. Like for like 3 a.m. at this point because I went to the midnight showing. And the very first thing I overheard, I like first reaction before I even got my phone out or anything, was someone behind me going, like, those crazy bastards, they did it. They finally fixed the problems with The Last Jedi. I was like, I'm scared to go on Twitter.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
there are things in that film I like.
Babu Frick.
Baby Frick, I do love, and I think this is more performance choices from Adam Driver than anything that JJ maybe decided on. But the complete way he changes the way he carries himself when he becomes Ben again.
Yeah,
Like he is in that moment he is Han Solo's son.
absolutely. And that's the
Like
thing that there are things in there I like.
yeah,
It's just outweighed by a lot of things I really don't like.
and weird choices like I like inherently like because I know a lot of people had this like, have I bring Palpatine back, and I didn't. I could think of a ton of ways I thought Palpatine could work. It didn't do.
No, I don't have a problem with Palpatine coming back. I have a problem with them just doing it in opening crawl text, being like, Palpatine's back. There's a message he sent. We're not even showing the message. Apparently, that was in Fortnite.
Yeah, that's a weird
Like,
choice.
I'm like, look, I know a lot of people play Fortnite, but really,
Yeah.
this kind of feels essential. Kind of want to see this message. Like, there's just so.
And in the
like,
film, you
stuff
just
like
basically
that.
get Pogo in. Good old Sheev's back.
Yeah,
Star Wars names, man. The
I love
evilest
Sheev.
villain in the whole universe rocks the name Sheev.
Only informally. Usually goes by the Senate. Oh. As you can tell, I think we enjoy Star Wars. We enjoy the Star Wars comics.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
If I'm gonna end it with one of my favorite moments from the comics specifically, I will say to kind of counter yours. You chose a really strong like moral quandary. I'm just going to go with the cheesy fun. Anything with Scar Squadron.
they are good.
It's stormtroopers with a goddamn lightsaber.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of a lot of my favorite Legend stuff with the clones, with any of the Republic Commando books.
I like how we have a firm settlement on, of course you don't have to be a Jedi to use a lightsaber.
Yeah, you have to be a Jedi to use it well and deflect bullets and shit.
Yeah, you have to be a Jedi to do the Jedi stuff, but just igniting a lightsaber doesn't really require.
No, just to use it and swing it. This always annoys. Like we are ending after this, but people who are like, oh, you have to be a Jedi to use a lightsaber. Han used a freaking lightsaber in Empire. He sliced up in the Tauntaun with it, no problem.
Yeah, like I can pick up a sword and I can swing
it. And if it hits someone, it'll probably hurt.
Yeah, I couldn't do sword acrobatics. I couldn't be like backflipping and riposting and parrying and.
I'm not saying Scar Squadron should do that, but I'm saying he's got a laser sword. He can use it to burn through some doors. He can chop through some stuff with it.
Yeah.
He can use it to make people terrified of the fact that he has a goddamn lightsaber.
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
saying
if we were in the same room now and I ignited the lightsaber and I swung it at you, you would be worried.
Yeah, Yeah, I would. I want to be like, where the hell did you get a lightsaber from?
Hey, Disney have apparently built a functioning extendable lightsaber.
Can't wait to see that.
It's apparently two
Um,
tape measures. Apparently it's two tape measures with a column around the tape measures,
okay.
and then lights inside it, and it's a translucent column with a cap on. And basically, when you unite it, the tape measures just extend, and then when you press it again, the tape measures retract.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but
I'm
what?
surprised no one's tried that
Yeah,
already.
that's the thing. It makes so much sense. It's like, why is this only
Yeah.
just becoming a thing? Maybe it's that'd be it. LED lighting has potentially got to the point where you can realistically and
But
affordably
inside, yeah.
light it well. As in that would probably be the main problem, making it look like a lightsaber.
We at work the other day for May 4th, people dressed up and they bought like a handful of like really shitty cheap like
Yeah.
pound store lightsabers. And
You always have fun with them though, don't you? Like
we all had fun with them, but it was great because when they were on, you could see it was this plastic tube, obviously, like not quite
just like a torch at the
clear,
bottom.
but no, it's better than that. It was a string of like fairy lights inside,
Oh, nice.
and you could see them all the way up every
Yeah.
time they had one place. So you could just see like they'd just like, okay, pull it off the Christmas tree, snip here, that'll fit in nicely.
Yeah.
It was great. It was fun.
Well,
Yeah.
on that note about everyone's favourite type of lightsaber toy, the cheap pound shop variety, we shall call it the end of this episode of Comics Unmasked. That you got you got some interesting comic news at the start. We talked about some insane sales figures. We then tried to talk about Star Wars comics, which we did, but just ended up talking about Star Wars. But if you're as nerdy as us, you probably also like Star Wars, so we hope you had a good time. And we'll see you next time.